Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Course Creator Community Podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and I'm super excited because we've got a very special guest on the line this week. She's also a course creation coach. She's also a podcast host herself. I recommend everyone go over and check out her podcast, which is the Little Miss Course Creator Podcast. I'm sure a few of you listen to that anyway. She's really, really good at what she does, and what we're going to be speaking about today is the 5 keys to creating a course that gets your students results. So without further ado, let me introduce this week's guest, the one and only Ms. Apryl Bradford from the Little Miss Course Creator. Apryl, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Jonah. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to speak to your audience.
No, thank you. Thank you for, you could have spent your time anywhere in the world, and you've chosen to spend it with me and my audience over there on Sunday night in the USA or Canada. I'm not actually sure where you're from. I'm sure it's one of those two, right? USA or Canada?
Yep. US.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, the accent sounds the same to me, you know? It's either like I can pick the Australian accent, the New Zealand accent, that's easy for me. But if you're anywhere in North America, it sounds the same. And then if you're anywhere in like the UK or Ireland, it sounds the same to me as well.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
I'm from Australia, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Some
I
people
can tell
say
by the accent.
okay, good, because some people think it's New Zealand. Apryl, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
Yes, I do. So my favorite thing is, if you dream it, if you believe it, you can do it. And truly, the reason how come I love that is because everyone has a dream, right? And it's that believing in your dream, believing in yourself, that when you believe it, then you truly can do it. And so I just remind myself over and over again, like, you just got to believe in yourself, believe in, I love believing in my, my audience, the people in my sphere, because I know that when you believe in yourself, others believe in you, like anything is possible.
Yes, love that. I love both parts to that. Because even the dream part, I know you mentioned everyone's got a dream. I feel a lot of people even don't, in this little like, yeah, it'll just work out. Yeah, I'll do something. I'll just work out. So I'm a big fan of the dream part as well, where it's like, okay, let me dream, let me visualize. Okay, cool. This is exactly what I want it to happen. And then it's like, all right, cool. Now I can back myself to make that dream happen. So I like both parts to it. And yeah, the belief is huge. Like, if you don't believe in yourself, who the heck else? Why would a customer believe in you? If you're not sure that you can get the result, no way is a customer or client. So I think it's so important to believe in yourself there. So thank you for that quote there, Apryl. Now, what we're going to speak about today, the 5 keys. I'm going to hand it over to you here. This is your specialty. This is your bread and butter. So where do we start? I guess we start at number 1. What's the number 1 key?
Yes. Okay. So let me give you a little background on why I truly 100% stand by these keys, that if you do these 5 things, it gets your students results. So before I had my business, I was an educator. I have a master's degree in education. I've taught from littles to adults. I've taught everything in between. And these are the keys that not only was I taught in my college classes, but I did it myself with my students. And now with my course creators, they're doing this with their students and getting the results. And so truly all of these are based on not just research of my own, but truly they are research-backed keys to getting your students results. So let's dive in with number 1. And this is the one that I feel like makes a huge difference, but no one talks about it. But it is the place that you have to start. So everyone talks about your ICA, right? Your ideal customer avatar. And that is great. And you do need to know that for the marketing aspect of your course, right? But no one talks about what I like to call your ideal star student. So who is that student that you want in your course? So this isn't, okay, what are their biggest fears? What are, like all that stuff that you talk to in the marketing. This is really understanding in whatever your course topic is, where are they at when they come to you? Like you have to understand where they are at to be able to connect what you're going to be creating and be able to take them to that next step. Because here's the mistake, that if you are just like, well, I'm just going to teach this to, Sally, who's middle-aged, who has 5 kids or whatever, like you do not understand where they're at in their path. So when you know where they're at, you can create your course for a beginner level, or, like they're an intermediate and you're going to take them to the advanced level. So knowing that creates a huge, so one of the things, as you know, is knowing like, what do I put in my course? What do I leave out of my course? Like you have all this knowledge. And so that really helps to narrow in your topic, is knowing, okay, this is where my student's starting at, and this is where I'm going to get them to. And so it just creates that clarity for you as the course creator, and then it helps them get results because you're starting talking in a space where they understand. You're not like, way above their head, or you're not boring them with information because they're like, I already knew all of this stuff. Like this is they're not going to finish your course if they're like, this is fluffy and I already know this, right? So that's the number one key.
Yes, love that. Some good points there, because you're right. Everyone speaks about it from the marketing side of things. What are their fears? Let's push the pain points, let's sell them the dream. And that's great. But now they've bought the course, you want to make sure you deliver a good course there. And if you've used some marketing strategy to get a beginner in and it's over their head, it's not going to help them. Or the flip side, you use some marketing strategies to get the advanced person in and they already know everything. It's not going to help them. And yeah, all right, you might have made a sale, but it's not going to be a long-term one, because that person's probably not going to come back for your next course and they're probably not going to tell their friends. So I think that's important there. It's like marketing's half of it. Yes, let's get people in the door, but then let's make sure we get them amazing results by seeing where they're at. Hey, this is exactly where you're at. Here's what you got to do. So I love that there. And I'm guessing also you can have a few different courses, right? You might have your beginner one, and then you might have your intermediate, then you might have your advanced one there. So you still can speak to these people, but you sell them the one that's appropriate for them, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yes, you can create those different levels of courses and market to the ones where they're at. And another thing with this is when you know what I like to do with my students is I have them know, like, okay, obviously we create like our ideal star student, and you're going to have people who, are like in the outer sphere, but that ideal student, what is it that they know when they're coming into your course? Because a key thing, when okay, they're going to come into this course and they know this. So for example, like I build furniture, so I can, create an example here. So I want to teach someone how to build a bookshelf, right? And so I'm going to bring in the beginner who knows nothing about building anything, right? So I've got to know that that's where they're starting, but they do know, like, okay, what is a 2x4, those kind of things. So then I can connect what I'm going to teach to what they already know. And that's a huge learning strategy that creates like the neural pathways in the brain. The synapses start firing when you connect what students are learning to what they already know. Like that is where, you see those light bulb moments, like, oh, I get it. So that's another key part of knowing your ideal star student, is to be able to create those connections for them so that understanding is there.
Love that. A little bit off topic. I was a huge WWF wrestling fan in the 90s. And there was a wrestler, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he used to bring a 2x4 down to the wrestling ring to hit his opponents with. And I know it's a big piece of wood, but I was always wondering, why is it called a 2x4? I've always wondered that. Now, you just mentioned it then. Why is it called a 2x4?
Okay, so when you buy wood, it's essentially supposed to be 2 inches by 4 inches wide. So like 2 inches thick by 4 inches wide. And then you can buy it in different lengths, like 6 foot,
Oh,
8 foot.
yeah.
But here's the thing that you have to know as a woodworker is they're actually like 3 by something inches. It's not even 4 by 2 by 4.
Yeah, because I was trying to do the math, and we don't use inches in Australia anyway.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
that's right. Yeah.
I'm like, that's a big ass piece of wood, but it's not 2 meters big. And I
No.
couldn't do the math, but okay, that makes sense there how you've explained it. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So number one is star student. What's number two, April?
Mhm.
What do we have to do once
Okay.
we know our star student?
Yes. Okay. So number 2 is beginning with the end in mind.
Mm,
So a lot of people are like, okay, where should I start teaching them? Like, but when the very first thing that you have to do is what I call create your course foundation. And that is what everything else in your course is going to be built off of.
yeah.
Just like a foundation of a house. If you don't have a solid foundation, everything else crumbles, right? So your foundation is that end goal that you want to get your students to. And knowing where you're taking them, it helps keep you on track when you're writing your course to go, okay, like, does this need to go in there? Well, is this getting them to that end point? If it's not getting them to that end point, it's not necessary. And if you put that stuff in there, those are the things that confuse your students, and then they get lost. And then if we confuse them, they're gone. Like, they're not going to finish our course, right? And so that is so important of having that end goal in mind. We start with the end goal and then build everything to that. And that's just like, so when I was a teacher, we would create the tests that we were giving, at the end of the unit.
Yeah.
And then we would create, okay, this is what they need to know. So we're going to make sure that we teach that stuff in the unit. And then it just helped guide us to know, okay, this is what we're teaching. And it was so much easier. So that's key number 2, start with the end in mind.
Love it. Because my background's in fitness and it's exactly the same. It's like, if you just come and see me as a personal trainer and I just give you a bunch of exercise and a bunch of information that you don't need to know, you're just going to be confused as heck. But if it's like,
Yeah.
all right, what's your goal? Hey, I want to, whatever, lose 5 kilos in 10 weeks time. Okay, cool. Here's exactly what you need to know. Ignore anything else. Turn the internet off. Don't follow me on Instagram. Just do this stuff here and you'll get the result quicker. So I love that.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 3, April.
Number 3 is engagement. Like, we have to get our students to be engaging in our course. And this doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I need to have a Facebook group and have conversations going. Like, that's great, but you want them actually taking action on your course, right? And so the way that you do that is you have to create like activities, or I say activities, but like worksheets, journals, reflections.
That's a good teacher word, right? Activities.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I used to
Yes,
get
that's-
excited in school. Whenever a teacher's like, oh, we got an activity, it was always something fun,
Yes. It's like, yes, we're doing an activity. Yeah. But same thing, like when your
Yeah.
students are like, because you knew that you were going to do something, you weren't just going to be sitting in your seat listening to a lecture all day long,
Yeah.
right? That's why it was exciting. And it's the same for your students, is when you give them something that engages them, that gets them to actually take action that they can see is going to get that end result, then that's what keeps them going. That's what keeps them engaged in your course. And there's a whole bunch of ways that you can do engagement. You've heard of gamification and things like that. One of my favorite things is micro learning, like keeping it short and simple, cutting out the fluff, because in adult learning, we are busy, right? Like, we don't have time to sit down for hours and listen. It's like, take out the fluff, give me what I need. And it creates that, like they can take action right away instead of listening. And then we're lost, then it's like, I got to pick up the kids, do the dishes, all of those things, and I'm not going to finish. So engagement is key to keeping your students progressing through your course.
Yes, love that. I'm a huge, I call them action tasks in my courses. So it's like, right, you do a module, but the whole goal of the module is just to get you to do the whole goal of that lesson, you should say, is just to get that person to complete the action task. I just give enough information so that person does the action task, and then they go through all the lessons, action task, action task, action task. Hey, you finished the module and you've actually got stuff done. It's not just learning from that there.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Because, like, how many of us have taken courses that we listen to, don't take action on because, we just got lost in it and didn't do it. So yeah, it's those action. I love that you call them action tasks, because that's what they are. That's what we want them to do.
Yes.
So,
well, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. You've got him over there in America, right? You know who Tony Robbins is? Yeah.
Yep.
So he's a big
Yep.
action task guy. So I think that's who I stole it from. And I
love it.
I love how you also mentioned the busy side of things. I interviewed a guest last week. Do you know who Steph Taylor is by any chance, April? She's got a podcast too.
I don't think I know her.
Socialette or something like that. She's based in Queensland in Australia. So she told me a story. She made $1 million last year selling her online course for $197, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it was like, I can't remember exactly what her course was, but it was basically the bones. It's a start your own podcast sort of course. And I think she tried to sell like a 6-week coaching for, whatever it was, $1,000 or something. No one bought it. Right. And she went and she did some market research, and she asked her audience, hey, you didn't buy, why didn't you buy? Yada, yada, yada. Everyone's like, hey, I don't have 6 weeks. Hey, I don't want to wait 6 weeks for the results. Hey, I don't want to do it in a group thing. Hey, I'm not free at this time here. So, Steph went back and did changed it around a bit and was just like, all right, well, people don't want to spend 6 weeks doing it. They don't want to meet week by week. They're not free at this time here. Let me just put the easiest, quickest thing together that someone can just do it in an hour and have a podcast ready to go. Went from selling it to, 1,000 to from whatever it was, 1,000 to, 197. And then it just sold like hotcakes. So, and not because of because I think a lot of people also think, I got to put more in there, got to make it longer, got to make it longer, but not necessarily the case. And that's an example there. So thank you for bringing that up. Point number 4, April.
So point number 4 is to create an organized curriculum and an organized members area. This is one thing that I think, so I am my mind works in organization. Like, I'm really good at organizing things, but I jump into, like, I'll do course audits, and I'm like, this does not make sense, because like this needs to go before here, because your student is not going to understand this if they don't get this, right? And so having that organization, and one story for you. So, and this is a really good, so I also have a master's degree in digital media design. So like user experience and things like that, right? So I was in one of my classes when I was finishing this master's degree, and during that semester, I went to Orlando, Florida, and we were at the airport. I don't know if you've ever been to the Orlando airport. Have you ever had that?
Believe it or not, I have once been there. Is that where Disney World is, right?
Yes, Disney World's there. Yeah. Yes. It was the worst airport experience I had ever had, because it was just like this whole corral of people there. There were like no lines. It was just all of us standing there, instead of like making it organized. Like, here's a line, here's a line, here's like, it was like everyone was just massively going to this, and so I'm like, don't have that kind of experience for your students, because everyone was getting upset. Everyone was like watching someone else, like, hey, they were behind me, like it just creates pure chaos. And they're not going to finish your course if they can't see when they log into your members area. Do you have like a welcome, start here? And in your welcome video, do you have like, here's where to find these things? This is, because here's the thing is, we are working with people from all different aspects of life, right? This might be the very first course and course platform they've ever logged into. And so we have to think about that too. Like, we have to make sure that we are being very explicit and saying, like, here's where you find the downloads. Here's where the videos are. This is when it's going to be uploaded. If you're dripping your content, make sure that they know that from the very get-go. And here's the thing too, is sometimes we have to repeat things because people don't always hear it the first time. So, if you're dripping your content, make sure you're saying that over and over again, because again, that when you're saying it, you may be feeling like, oh my gosh, I've said this 100 times. Like they're probably sick of it, but it creates that, that person who maybe missed it or missed that video, didn't watch it all the way through. They heard it a different place, and then it lowers your refund rates, all of that stuff, because it's a good experience. And do you guys have, I don't know with Australia, but here in America, we have Target and Walmart.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
We've got Target and Kmart is our version, but we know what
Okay.
Walmart is in Australia. Yeah. We don't have it, but
Okay.
we've seen it on The Simpsons and South Park,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I always say create a Target experience for your customers, because you'll hear like it's kind of a joke, like the moms here like to just go walk the aisles of Target because it's a great experience. And you go to Walmart and it's like, get me out of here as soon as possible. So we want that Target experience because you've just created an atmosphere that they're like, oh, like it's organized. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know what we're doing next. I know what to expect is coming. And it just creates, just a good experience for your students.
100%. I'll share an example with myself. So I've been creating courses since 2014, right? And I made this stuff up a couple of weeks ago. So let me think how to explain this, because I think there's a few lessons here. So one thing I do is I always have a feedback form in my courses, and I do whatever possible to get the student to fill out that feedback. And it's like 5 questions. It's like, what did you like? What did you not like? What could I, the official question is out of a score out of 1 to 10, what would you rate this course? If less than 10, what could I have done to make it a 10? So if someone says an 8 or 9, I want to hear what it was, and I go on improve it. And my courses in one of my businesses, Fitness Education Online, or I guess anyone really, like I've got the core content, but then I've also got some bonus content as well. And I like to think that I make it clear that it's like, hey, everything you need to know is in the course content here. But hey, here's some cool podcasts I've done, or, here's a live video I did on this topic here. Not part of the course, but, you may also enjoy it as well. If you watch it, you might learn something different. And I mentioned at the start in the intro, hey, here's the bones of the course. There's some bonus stuff. You don't need to watch it. And then I got some feedback, and it wasn't just one. There were a couple people that were like, yeah, it was good, but it's a little long, like you had all this extra podcasts and this live stuff in there. Like, it was good, but I feel it didn't need to be in there. And I'm thinking in my head, hold on, I freaking said it was optional. Why did you watch it? But then I realized, hold on, that's my fault. I didn't make that clear enough. Because obviously they've watched the intro, they've forgotten it the next day or a couple of days later, or maybe they didn't get to the end of the intro. But that was good feedback for me. So I went back in that course, and I clearly mentioned, whenever it was an optional one, I had in brackets next to it, this is optional, and then went in at the start of it, hey, this is optional. It's not part of the course. And then since then, none of that feedback there. So I think the feedback part is important, but I also think it's a matter of where I was sitting back and being like, well, I told them it was optional. They didn't need to watch it. But obviously I went from my perspective, where I know the course inside out. I didn't go for it thinking where it's like, this could be the first time anyone's watched it. They've watched it a few days later, yada, yada, yada. So I think that's a very good point. Okay. Point number 5, Apryl.
Okay. So point number 5, and this goes back to, I actually kind of mix the two, put them together, but provide that good user experience. Just make sure that your students are getting, like the best of you. And like you said, like when you create the course, like it was so like to you, it was like, well, yeah, these are bonuses. I said it, they get it, like it's done, right? But when we make sure that we are explicit, and here's the thing with my teaching, from kids to adults are the worst students because they don't listen, because we're adults, we're like, exactly. And so creating, just like you said, putting those optional, it was simple for you to do, but it made such a big difference for your students.
Just a matter, literally, it maybe took me 10 minutes to write optional in brackets and a sentence there. but that could have saved students hours of time. You know, say
Yep.
there's 10 students that go through that and they watched an extra 2 or 3 hours of content that they, not saying it's not good content, but they didn't have to, you know? It's like
Yeah.
that could be 30, like what took me 10 minutes can save 30 hours in a week.
Exactly. Exactly. And then also thinking of things like, is there a way that if they have a question, how do they reach out to you? Do you have that inside of your course? Because I think so many times we assume like, oh yeah, they got the email with the login information. So yeah, they have my contact information, but that's not necessarily, they're not, you know, they may have deleted the email.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but my email inbox, you know, like things get lost. And so it's like, make sure you have that. It's kind of like the concierge service of your course, you know, just making sure you have those little extras that take your course from like, here's everyone else, and wow, they really served me. Like they thought of everything to make my student experience the best that they could. And I love that you have that feedback form, because it's really, really hard when you're so close to your course and so close to your content to see all of those little trip ups that your students do have. So getting that feedback is huge. And that's amazing. That's another one of those great user experiences, is that they can give you feedback and they feel heard when they give you feedback. So that's awesome that you have that in your course.
I think it's close. And I think it's one of the most important parts of a course, and almost selfishly, because like the reason I have feedback, it's not to make me feel good. It's to make the course better. You know, it's like,
Exactly.
and I don't care if someone, because mine's a rating as well. So that's always intimidating. If people are going to rate you out of 10, you know, like one of my friends put me on a dating site once. This is back in high school. You know, they rated how good looking you were. I've still got, because I'm not the best looking guy, right? So I've already got experiences from that. But now I've realized I don't care. Like, I don't care if that person gives me a 1 out of 10. Not for my looks, I would care about that, but for the course, like I don't care if that person gives me a 1 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. The answer is this. My question back is the same. Okay, what could I have done to make it a 10? I don't care if you tell me a 1. There's nothing I can't go back and change it now, but I can change it for the future. If you're like, well, if you had bang, 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 great, I'll go out and do it. You know, even for the person that says 9, you know, hey, if you did this, I would have made it a 10. Because often they're just little things most of the time. You know, you spend an hour here, an hour there, and, you know, and what I've found as well is you can chip away at it. You get your course the first time, that's fine. Someone comes back and it's like, hey, you know, this video was crap, or you should have put this thing in here, or you could have told me that. And there's only so many things you can fix up before people are like, I can't fault it. You know, like there's nothing I can do. And that's what happened. You know, it started off most of the time I was getting, oh, it's a 7 out of 10. It's an 8 out of 10. Now it's like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, you know, simply not because I'm good. It's just simply because I've just had so much feedback and I've just listened to what that feedback said and implemented it. So I think that's important there. But Apryl, I want to be sensitive of your time. So thank you very much for covering those 5 points there. There's a couple questions I always like to finish off the podcast with. Just before I do, what I recommend everyone do is go and check out Apryl's lead magnet. She's got a roadmap to course creation, which basically shows you what to do from step by step from the idea to marketing the course. I'll put that down in the show notes. So I recommend everyone go and check that out there. Apryl, couple questions I like to finish up with. The first one is around course hosting platforms. Now, there's about 1 million different course hosting platforms out there. We don't want to, they've all got their advantages. They've all got their disadvantages. I'm just curious, because I asked this question to everyone. What platform do you use, or what platform do you recommend in terms of hosting an online course?
Okay, so this is this is an interesting question, because like you said, there's so many out there. So currently I use ClickFunnels, and I'll tell you why. But so I use ClickFunnels because I wanted to be able to build good funnels, right? And be able to, like, I knew that was where my product, I was going to sell my product, right? And so I could build the members area in there. And this is what I tell my students, is that every platform has its strong point. And so for ClickFunnels, it's actually not the best members experience, but for the marketing side, it was really good. So I actually just started diving into two. I've tested a lot. I really actually,
100%.
I like Kajabi,
Yeah.
but there are things that I don't love about it
Okay.
because you can only have so many products, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
I'm just testing out Learn Worlds, and I'm
Okay.
really liking that one. And I hadn't really heard of that one. And it's really powerful in the course area. Like if you're doing quizzes and that engagement aspect of it, like that's definitely their strong point, is the course. So I'm really liking it so far.
Love it. Interesting. Yeah, so I started off with ClickFunnels. So,
Mm-hmm.
and for the funnels, because my original course was an ebook. So it was like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't need anywhere to host the course, I just needed somewhere to sell it. And
Yep.
back in 2014, ClickFunnels, I think, was the only one. So, registered for ClickFunnels. And then I realized, oh, hold on, I can actually hold a whole course on here. I was previously,
Mm-hmm.
when I did my research, I was getting quoted like, $10,000 for someone to create a website for me and host it on there. And I was saving
Yeah.
that. I was like, once I hit, $20,000, I'm gonna, go and get a website. And I had ClickFunnels the whole time. And I was like, oh, hold on, I can create a course on here, But
Yep.
I did actually go off it for the course hosting reason. I was like, you know what? There were just too many. It just didn't. I don't know if it's changed, but especially for me, because I had numerous courses, I wanted
Yeah.
something where someone could log in once and all their
Yes.
courses could come up there. On ClickFunnels, I don't know what can you do that on Click? It's individual. They need to log in,
It's
right?
still individual. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, I got 40 courses, I just had too many, support issues. Like, I think ClickFunnels is
Yeah.
great if you got one. You got one course,
Exactly.
one funnel, piece of cake, right?
Yep.
But anymore, not so much. I really like Kajabi, but it's just the price that holds me back. Because once again, I got 40 different courses. I got a million different funnels. Like, I'd be paying, I think, about $400 a month for Kajabi. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I think there's a better way. And there is actually, because I use New Zenler now, which is basically,
Yes.
well, I'm on.
Okay. I want to hear I started looking into that one too. So yeah, I'm excited
Okay.
to hear what you
Yeah,
think.
I'll tell you. And also, I'm an affiliate. So if you do want to sign up, I'll send
Okay.
you a link as well. But I'll
Yeah.
get to that in a sec. But Learn Worlds, right? The
Uh-huh.
one of the not the owners, one of the managers hit me up, and she was like, hey, so you got this Facebook group. I'm the assistant manager at Learn Worlds. I'd never heard of it. I thought it was because there's even every day on LinkedIn, someone hits me up with some new platform that I've never heard about, So
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, another one of these. But she was Greek. So I was like, she's Greek. My family's Greek. They might know each other. I can't offend the Greek community. So I'll, interview her or whatever. And then, every day there's more and more people telling me about this Learn Worlds thing. So now I might actually check it out. But yeah, New Zenler. So I like it because
Mhm.
let me think of where to start. Okay, so I've got two businesses, right? I've got fitness education online. With that, I
Uh-huh.
still use ClickFunnels for the funnels, but I basically zap it to Teachable. So I host my
Okay.
course on Teachable. Now,
Yep.
it's a pain in the ass, to be honest, because I've just there's so much zapping involved, and it's like it's Teachable is the opposite to ClickFunnels, where it's really good to host a course on, but the marketing and funnels are rubbish. So it's like
Yes.
I get the best of both worlds, but it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
zapping in that. But it's just too much effort for me to change it now. With that many funnels, that many courses, it's going to do more damage than good. And it's probably more expensive because I think ClickFunnels, I'm on about $200 or $300 a month. Teachable, another 100. But I would have been better just going off with Kajabi. I think it would have been cheaper and
Yeah.
it's all in one, but I'm not going to change now. Now, New Zenler is in beta. So there's some things that just, I'm not going to say don't work, but don't work as well as like a ClickFunnels or a Kajabi. So
Mm-hmm.
I use ClickFunnels a lot. It's so easy. I can do anything on there.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had to hit up ClickFunnels support and say this
Yeah.
isn't working. It's just so well built. The support's good. It's really, really good. New Zenler, I can't say I have that same experience. There's some things where a button won't work or it comes up different on mobile here and I need to email support and they tell me a workaround or whatever it may be. So I'm not going to say it's perfect, but for the price, I think it's by far the best price because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is now, but I got on it at about $400 a year, right?
Yeah.
Kajabi, I would be paying that a month. Now, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
Kajabi is a better platform than Zenler. I'm not disputing that at all. But is it 12 times better? I wouldn't say it's 12 times better, and especially at
Yeah.
that sort of price point. I'm not saying you pay $10 or you pay $120. I'm saying you pay $400 a year or you pay $4,000 a year. Like,
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
yeah. So I think, and also with New Zenler, the down point with Kajabi is it's the beginner package is so limited. It's like, once again, if you got one course, okay, I think it's $200. You got one course, it's okay. But if you got a lot of them, you're just paying up and up and up. New Zenler, it's that one fee, everything's there. Look, it's not perfect, but for $400 a year, it's got the funnels, it's got the course hosting. I don't use it for the email, but I don't think I don't use ClickFunnels for the email anyway. Like, I prefer to have a separate thing there. So my take on New Zenler anyway. But one more question before we finish up, Apryl. I always ask this question as well around mentors. So you're obviously a mentor for plenty of course creators out there. I'm curious to hear who your mentors have been, and if you can answer this in a few different ways. A mentor that you've paid money to and you've done their course or their coaching. A mentor you haven't paid money to, but you follow them on social, you watch their YouTube videos, you follow them on Instagram, in their Facebook group, whatever it may be, and a book that you recommend every course creator should read.
Okay.
So paid, unpaid, and book.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start with unpaid because that was where it was like my trail, So Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, right?
Yeah.
He's the guru of marketing, really. I feel like he's, like tried and true for everyone. And I guess I've paid for his books, but I haven't paid for him.
You answered all three in one there. Russell Brunson, I follow his free stuff. I paid for his books, and here are the books I recommend.
There you go. I haven't joined his insider club or whatever he has, but I feel like his free stuff is really good, and just he's really good if you're getting started. Paid. So Julie Stoyan, Funnel Gorgeous. I don't know if you've heard of Funnel Gorgeous. Yes. So I have been
Facebook group. Are you in her Facebook group?
Marketer's Heart. That one?
No.
Or she
laptop lifestyle.
Yes, living the laptop life. Yes. So she's so I have done their they have a certification for marketing, and it was one of the best funnel building. It's 3 parts. You learn offer creation, copy, and design, and it was the best course that I think I've gone through that to help with the marketing world. So super recommend them. And then my favorite book is, and this isn't necessarily course creation, but Jamie Kern Lima. Do you know who she is?
No.
Okay, so she is the founder of It Cosmetics, and she sold it.
I'm not a cosmetic guy. No, as you can probably tell.
She sold it to L'Oreal for
I've heard of them.
She sold it for, I don't know, this huge amount of money. It was one of the biggest purchases. Anyway, but her book that just came out in February, it's called Believe It. She talks about her story, how she went years and years and years, trying to get this product out into the market, and all she heard was no. And then finally she got a yes from QVC, and she tells her story. And so if you ever if there's any doubt that you have, that story, and hearing her struggles and seeing that whole behind the scenes, it's very motivational to be wow, she just kept going. She kept going, even when she heard no after no after no, and then it worked. And I think that's the challenge with online business, is you see the success, or in social media, people look successful, and it's but behind the scenes, what's really happening, And so it's not an overnight get rich quick, which I think a lot of people are oh, I'm just going to put a course out there and I'm going to be rich tomorrow, And it's you have to know put it out there, but you keep trying. Like if it doesn't sell the first time, like look at your launch and see what happened. Like don't just like shut down and think, oh, I'm not good enough to do this. Like believe it. And so her story is just so good to help with that motivation of keeping on going in this crazy entrepreneurship world.
Yes. Sorry, what was her name?
Jamie Kern Lima.
Jamie, say that again. Jamie, slowly in an Australian accent, if you can.
Yeah. I don't know about the accent. You don't want to hear it. So it's Jamie, and then Kern is Kern.
Yeah.
And then Lima, it's like lima bean, but Lima, Lima.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Sorry, she may be a big name, but that's not my space, So I'm like, I better write this down and make sure that I do it. So yeah, I'll check that book out. Yeah, Julie, I heard her present on a 15 tips for your best landing page or whatever at a traffic and conversions summit. And I'm like, wow, okay, this woman knows her stuff, Now I'm in a Facebook group. I recommend everyone join that. And yeah, Russell Brunson, huge fan of his. I just read his books. I've got his 3 books. The first one's okay, but the second 2, what is it? Expert Secrets and Traffic Secrets. I just read them. I probably rotate. 1 month I read one, the next month I read the other. I've read them probably 5 or 6, maybe 2 or 3 times each, and still every time I learn something. It's basically like those books. I honestly think are worth about $5,000 each. I've paid $5,000 to do people's courses that aren't as good as Russell Brunson's $7 free shipping book,
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
It never ends up being $7 because he sells you something else. And then I think I'm getting a free book, and then I've spent, I've got some money on shipping and some online course and some coaching or whatever.
Yeah.
But even if you just don't get sucked in, well, I shouldn't say don't get sucked in. Even if you don't buy the upsells, even just get that book on its own. It's the best $7 free shipping you'll ever spend. So
yeah, definitely.
that. Apryl, that's all we got time for today. Is there anything I should have asked you but forgot to, or anything you want to finish us off with?
No, I think that was all. I just, my biggest recommendation is just to always remember that even when there's other people in your sphere, remember that you are the only person that has the unique gifts and talents and life, experiences. And so you have a clientele that you need to serve. So put those blinders on, don't look left and right and compare, and just stay on track and keep going.
Awesome advice. All right, Apryl, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you so much.